bathroom. He kept the shower on while chopping her up. He used Shraddha's money to buy the fridge. More bones of Shraddha discovered. But crucial missing links still remain. The only channel asking the big questions as India demands justice for Shraddha.
This story just keeps getting worse and worse, doesn't it, viewer? Well, it certainly does. We've filtered through some of the big claims that are being made about what happened to Shraddha, and we will report to you what we think it's okay to share at this point of time. We respect due process, but we also recognize there's a great deal of information out there that it is simply impossible to filter. I'm Shiv Aroor, this is 5 Live, it's our top story, the headlines first. Aam Aadmi Party MLA's family and aides arrested for allegedly taking bribes for promising tickets for the upcoming Municipal Corporation of Delhi elections. Complainant releases sting operation as well. Aam Aadmi Party rejects the charges. Prime Minister Modi leaves Bali, Indonesia after packed day 2 at the G20 Summit. Prime Minister holds talks with UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. 3,000 visas for young professionals from India cleared shortly after the Modi-Sunak meet. 2 dead in Poland, 15 miles from the Ukraine border after a Russian-made missile lands on the ground. Biden chairs emergency meeting. Doubts the missiles were fired from Russia. Russia totally denies that it came from them. I've got a full ground report coming up at 5:30. Former President Donald Trump throws his hat in the ring from the 2024 presidential race to the White House. Announces bid, says time to make America great again. NASA's most powerful ever Artemis moon rocket lifts off from Earth. The Orion spacecraft's success could pave the way for people to climb aboard for future missions that go to the lunar surface. But we're starting with the latest updates, the latest developments as far as the Aftab Shraddha case is concerned. More sordid details have steadily emerged in this horrible, disturbing Delhi crime. Here's a look at the top developments in the probe so far that we've got lined up for you. Number one, very importantly, a narco test will now be conducted on Aftab Poonawalla. Police sources tell India Today that Aftab is trying to mislead them and has been changing statements frequently in custody. Big development number two is that a few more parts of Shraddha's body have reportedly been recovered by the Delhi police. Investigators believe these are parts of her torso region. Shraddha's father will be called for a DNA test next. Big development number three, the Delhi police visited the Chhattarpur flat in South Delhi where Aftab is said to have murdered and butchered Shraddha. They've recovered surgical gloves and a few novels from that particular flat. Development number four, investigators also say that Aftab was active on several dating apps, not just Bumble. After murdering Shraddha, the police say Aftab met several girls till the time that he was arrested earlier this week. Also, the last Instagram chat of Shraddha, believed to be the last Instagram chat, has also emerged. In this chat, Shraddha asks a friend for feedback on one of her social media reels. The chat took place on the 4th of May, 14 days before Shraddha is said to have been murdered. The new terrifying details that have emerged make this case even more murky. Days after arresting murderer Aftab Poonawalla, in a chilling confession, Aftab is said to have told the Delhi police that he tried killing Shraddha once in the past as well, but since she started crying, he changed his mind. He claims, this is what he's told investigators, this is not what India Today is claiming, since we cannot corroborate what the Delhi police is telling journalists. He claims that at that time too, he thought of killing her following an argument over marriage. Remember, that is still understood to be the reason for the tensions between the two. Here's a report.
Surgical gloves lying at Aftab Amin Poonawalla's Chhatarpur flat. The same flat that he shared with his live-in partner Shraddha Walkar. The same flat where he strangled her and then chopped up her body in 35 pieces.
I'm standing right outside the room of Aftab, and I'll just show you a very crucial evidence. Inside the room, you can see these are the latex surgical gloves. Now, these are the exclusive visuals that we are showing on our channel for our viewers.
Inspired by the American crime thriller Dexter, the recovery of surgical gloves has added another stunning twist to this sordid murder. Police sources have told India Today that investigators suspect that Shraddha's body was cut into pieces in the bathroom after the murder. Sources say Aftab left the shower running so that the dead body could be chopped easily and the blood flowed out. Many novels and books have also been found in the house. Meanwhile, the hunt for Shraddha's remains continues. 10 body parts have been recovered from the Mehrauli forest so far. Among them are some bones of what could be her spinal torso region. Delhi police will soon call Shraddha's father for a DNA test. What's more, days after butchering Shraddha, Aftab visited a local doctor to get a cut on his hand treated.
मैंने उससे हिंदी में बात किया, तो इसके बाद वो हिंदी नहीं बोल रहा था, कंटिन्यूअस इंग्लिश बोल रहा था, काफ़ी लाउड, काफ़ी जो है कॉन्फिडेंट लग रहा था वो. तो फिर मैंने उससे पूछा कि हाउ डिड यू सस्टेन दिस इंजरी. तो उसने बोला कि एक्चुअली व्हाइल कटिंग फ्रूट आई गॉट दिस इंजरी एंड आई वाज यूजिंग माय नाइफ.
India Today has also accessed an Instagram chat of Shraddha where she was asking a friend for feedback on her first reel. That conversation was on 4th of May. What happened in the next 14 days that led to her brutal murder? With Arvind Ojha and Shreya Chatterjee in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, let's just take you quickly to refresh your minds about the timeline of the murder, because the timings, the dates, etc. have become a little sharper as more information has been forthcoming. 18th of May this year, Aftab is said to have strangled his girlfriend Shraddha. The murder took place somewhere between 8 and 10 p.m. Remember, Shraddha's body was kept in that same room overnight, that night of 18th of May 2022. Aftab and Shraddha had apparently fought over groceries and financial expenses being incurred by the couple. That's what the police is telling us. On the 19th of May 2022, that's a day after the alleged murder, Aftab is said to have begun chopping up Shraddha's body. He went out first, he bought a fridge. The body parts of Shraddha, which were butchered in a bathroom, were put into plastic bags and put into that refrigerator. 20th of May, between 20th of May and the 4th of June is when Aftab disposed of Shraddha's body parts in the forests around Chhatarpur and Mehrauli. Aftab would allegedly step out post 2 a.m. every night and carry those body parts, a few at a time, in black poly bags and then dispose of them, but bring the bags back in order to allow the body parts to decompose in that forest. 8th of November this year, 2022, 6 months after the alleged crime, Shraddha was reported as missing by her father. This is after a tip-off from a friend of Shraddha's. On the 14th of November 2022, that is this Monday, Aftab Poonawalla was arrested by the Delhi police. I want to go across now to India Today's Shreya Chatterjee, who belongs to our crime bureau. She's been at the front line of tracking this story very closely from the police end as well as the families. Shreya, what would you say this third day on this crime has thrown up from interrogations? We understand that more physical evidence has been recovered by the police from Chhatarpur as well. How has this story moved forward as by way of the investigation?
Well, Shiv, first and foremost, with Aftab's custody with the Delhi police ending tomorrow, one thing is for sure, that it's currently a little difficult for the Delhi police to piece the evidences together. As far as they have the entire confession on the part of Aftab, they are banking largely on circumstantial evidences and technical analysis that they would now be probably building this case against. Tomorrow, when Aftab will be produced before the court, the Delhi police in all likelihood will be seeking for further custody. The reason behind the murder weapon is yet to be found. There are some more things that are yet to be unearthed because there is still some inconsistencies in the statement that Aftab is giving. He has been missing the timelines, confusing the Delhi police. They still believe that there's a high possibility he's misleading the Delhi police because he wants to legally weaken the case on the part of Delhi police. So largely, right now what Delhi police have is technical piece of evidence, which is the electronic devices on the part. They have sent the dismembered bones. They have gathered to the FSL. That report is yet to come. So there are a lot of things yet to happen. And the Delhi police largely will now look forward from the court tomorrow on how many more days of remand they will be getting of Aftab so that they can strengthen the case forward. Right now, it's technical evidence and scientific evidence, rather, which the Delhi police is hugely banking on for this particular murder case.
Okay, thanks very much, Shreya, for getting us the very latest on that. Both physical and circumstantial evidence, definitely posing to be some kind of a challenge in a case where, remember, Shraddha's body is said to have been chopped up into at least 35 parts and distributed in unmarked areas of the Chhatarpur forest. So it's obviously proving to be a huge challenge for investigators and forensics experts on the ground. Now, remember, Aftab Poonawalla, who is said to have confessed to killing his girlfriend Shraddha Walkar, chopping her body up into pieces, will be made to undergo a narco analysis test for which the Delhi police had sought permission from a local court and it has been granted. This after the Delhi police revealed that Aftab was constantly changing his statements and is neither giving information on the weapon he may have used for the murder nor giving clarity on Shraddha's phone. Here's a report. It also tells you what exactly a narco analysis is.
A latex gloves box found at accused Aftab Alam's Mehroli residence. Police believed Aftab wore surgical gloves as he reportedly dismembered Shraddha Walker's body after killing her. He also used a chemical solution to wipe away traces of blood from the floor and walls of the bathroom and the refrigerator. But his digital footprints gave him away. Delhi police officials say Aftab claimed Shraddha left him on May 22. Aftab used Shraddha's mobile phone on May 26 to transfer Rs 54,000 her account to his. Aftab used Shraddha's mobile phone to chat with her friends on Instagram after she disappeared.
बैंक डिटेल्स के हिसाब से 18 तारीख को 50,000 उसने निकाला है, मतलब अकाउंट से विड्रॉ हुआ है। उसके बाद में 6,000 विड्रॉ, ऐसा 2-3 बार उसका पैसा विड्रॉ हुआ है वो अकाउंट से, श्रद्धा के अकाउंट से।
Police checked Shraddha's mobile phone details and triangulation of signals revealed the use of a phone at the same place as Aftab's mobile phone. Police suspect Aftab killed Shraddha on or around May 18. The doctor who had earlier examined also found him to be extremely aggressive and confident.
काफ़ी लाउड, काफ़ी जो है कॉन्फिडेंट लग रहा था वो। तो फिर मैंने उससे पूछा कि हाउ डिड यू सस्टेन दिस इंजरी, तो उसने बोला कि एक्चुअली यू नो व्हाइल कटिंग फ्रूट आई गॉट दिस इंजरी एंड आई वाज यूजिंग माय नाइफ। तो ऐसा लग रहा था कि छोटा सा कट है, सुपरफिशियल है, तो नाइफ से हुआ होगा। पर ये आइडिया नहीं था कि ये किया, क्योंकि कोई नर्वस नहीं था, कोई बीच में अटक नहीं रहा था कि बोलने फंस रहा हो या फिर वो घबराया हुआ है।
Delhi police now suspect Shraddha murder was not a heat of the moment crime of passion, but a well-planned murder and sought a narco analysis test on the accused. Aftab Amin Poonawalla repeatedly changed his statements. Though he confessed to his crime when confronted with digital evidence, he has repeatedly been changing his statements. A narco-analysis test may help in recovery of the knife used to dismember Shraddha's body and also reveal information about where her head and body parts were thrown. Police now need corroborative evidence to prove Aftab Amin Poonawalla planned to kill Shraddha and want to understand why he claimed he had ground her intestines and liver before storing it in the refrigerator. A narco-analysis test could help unravel the mystery of the murder most foul. Bureau Report, India Today.
But here's the point, there are many missing links that still remain and there's no clarity on any of them. And until these missing links have some clarity, this story is definitely not going to be closed. Number one's missing link. Number one, Shraddha Walkar's chopped body parts. They all haven't been recovered just yet. They're still somewhere out there. The weapon which may have been used for killing Shraddha, if any weapon was used at all, because she was supposed to have been strangulated, was some kind of rope used? Did Aftab use his bare hands? We don't know that, but there's no murder weapon as such that has been recovered. Number three, the backpack used to carry and dispose those body parts is nowhere to be found. Has Aftab gotten rid of that bag? Where is that bag? It could be an important source of DNA evidence. Number four, Shraddha's phone. Where is that phone? Nobody knows where her phone is. Has it been destroyed? Has it been hidden somewhere, thrown somewhere? Nobody knows where Shraddha's phone is. Shraddha and Aftab's blood-stained clothes are also nowhere to be found. These are just 5 pieces of physical evidence that is still missing, and they're all very important missing links as far as this case is concerned. We've got some more breaking news coming in on this. Aftab was active on other dating apps apart from Bumble, which is the app on which he and Shraddha had met. He was active on a number of dating apps after the murder of his girlfriend Shraddha. After the murder of his girlfriend, he continued to be on dating apps. He even brought women home at a time when Shraddha's dismembered body was in the fridge, as per Delhi police sources. He is also said to have dated several women after murdering Shraddha. India Today has spoken to the app Bumble, that's the dating app on which Shraddha and Aftab had met. Bumble has officially said, we will be available to law enforcement should they request our support, and we will follow the case closely. Safety of our members is a top priority. Bumble, remember, is an American dating app that has services here in India as well. Shraddha and Aftab are said to have met on this particular app, and now Bumble has put out a statement saying they will cooperate with law enforcement if they are required to do so. I want to bring Shreya Chatterjee back in on this. Shreya, a number of different dating apps were apparently being used by Aftab even after the after the murder and butchering of Shraddha. That information we broke yesterday and today as well. But specifically on the issue of Bumble, they've put out a statement saying they will cooperate in the investigation. Are the police planning to call in someone from Bumble? Are they planning to get more information from Bumble? Okay, that audio is broken with Shreya. We'll just try and get that fixed in just a moment. But this is a crucial piece of information, viewer. Let me just repeat that for you so you understand precisely what we are bringing to you here as part of this news break. Bumble is the dating app on which Shraddha and Aftab had met. They'd been dating, and now it comes to light that Aftab had been using other dating apps after the murder, had been seeing and dating other women as well. These are just pieces of information that we're putting out as shared with us by our Delhi police sources. Bumble has put out a statement as well saying they will cooperate. Shreya is back with us. Shreya, is the police planning to get more or seek more information from Bumble regarding this case? The app has put out a statement saying they're ready to cooperate and that safety of their members is their top priority.
Well, Shiv, it is indeed true that the Delhi police is thinking of writing to Bumble. This is a Texas-based app. But however, when we talk about getting information from companies which are not based out of India, the process becomes extremely tedious. We know it is done through the MLAT procedure, and whether or not this will be fruitful is something the Delhi police is also a little wary about. But they're indeed mulling to write to Bumble. With the official statement now coming in from Bumble to India today, we can only hope that probably the case could be a little bit easier for Delhi police, because they would want to know who is that one girl who had come to the flat of Aftab, whether or not she was aware of the entire incident. That is something that the Delhi police is very closely right now interested to track down.
Shreya, thanks very much for getting us the latest on that. The story definitely rapidly developing and moving forward. Now, the murder of Shraddha Walkar, and we've been saying this since this morning, is eerily similar to another killing that had shocked India over a decade ago. The name Anupama Gulati may not ring a bell with many of our viewers, but she was a woman who was murdered by her husband back in 2010, 12 years ago. And there are eerie similarities between that case in 2010 and the Shraddha case. While Aftab cut up Shraddha's body into 35 pieces, Anupama's husband Rajesh Gulati is said to have chopped her body into 72 pieces on October the 17th, 2010. Second similarity, both Aftab and Anupama's husband Rajesh used a saw to dismember the bodies of their partners. Similarity number 3, the killers in both the cases did not just use a saw to chop up the body, but also used a fridge or a deep freezer to hide the pieces and to try and mask any foul smell that would emanate. Number 4, just as Aftab Poonawalla kept going to forested areas of Chhattarpur to dispose of Shraddha's body parts, Anupama Gulati's husband, Rajesh, would take pieces of Anupama's body along when going to drop their children to school and throw them in the forests along the Mussoorie-Dehradun road. The police say Aftab was inspired by the American crime show Dexter. Rajesh Gulati was said to have been inspired by Hollywood films as well. These are just broad similarities, but they have struck many people, and it is part of a conversation that is developing at this point of time. Like I said, the murder of Shraddha is a story that has truly disturbed, unsettled millions of our viewers all across the country, and I promise you, we won't be letting this story go until there is closure for the family and justice for young 27-year-old Shraddha Walkar. Very quick break here on 5 Live. Coming up next, we're taking you to Indonesia, where Prime Minister Modi has just left Bali after a packed day 2 at the G20 Summit. Every viral image, every image that's become a big talking point from Bali, coming up next.
The men and women who built Indian industry, and the young guns who are shaping tomorrow's India. From storied careers to unicorn dreams.
The equity market is a dynamic space that needs sharper insights and perfect timing.
What stock, what fund, what to pick and what to sell.
How do you make money on the markets? And what are the superior strategies for a winning portfolio?
Your questions answered by 30 years undisputed leadership.
Only with Business Today Television.
विपक्ष कहता है कि मोरबी के उस पुल के साथ एक तरीके से गुजरात का जो विकास का मॉडल था वही गिर।
चुनाव के सीजन में इस प्रकार की बहुत दुखद घटना पे राजनीति करना, ये मेरे हिसाब से ये सही नहीं है। बहुत ही बड़े पैमाने में लोग उसके जो तार थे, जो लोहे के तार थे, उसको जिस प्रकार से वो ब्रिज को झुलाने के लिए लोहे के तार पे जोर जोर से पैर से धक्का मार रहे थे, वो भी एक बड़ा कारण इसके पीछे हो सकता है।
अरे राजीव ब्रिज आपका लात मारने पे अगर गिर जाए, स्ट्रेंथ भी तो होनी चाहिए कि झूल भी लो। लक्ष्मण झूला पे भी तो लोग कूदते रहते दिन भर।
स्ट्रेंथ पूरी होनी चाहिए और यही विषय की तहकीकात के लिए ही ये कमेटी बनाई है।
If you look at the family business over generations, it's gone through its shifts and changes. You handled agro products, came up with this wonderful drink called Fruity, which again became an iconic drink. Where did that idea come from, to create a mango drink in a Tetra pack? Your idea?
In a way, yeah. To create a one-way package, at that time there were no one-way package, there were no cans, there was nothing. So Tetra Pak looked like a reasonable solution to create improved distribution and to strengthen our distribution still further.
Presented by only OLX Autos gives the best price for your car. Co-presented by Macho Hint, fashion bade aaram se. Powered by Ashirwad Shubh Chakki Aata, Raho 4 kadam aage.
India is the new boss of the G20. Indonesia has just handed over the G20 presidency to India for the coming year as the big high-profile Bali summit winded up for the day today. Indonesian President Joko Widodo handed over the G20 presidency to Prime Minister Modi, who said taking over the presidency of the grouping is a matter of pride for every citizen in India. Modi, along with other G20 leaders, visited the planted mangroves of Bali at the Tamam Hutan Raya Gurarai mangrove forest on the sidelines of the G20 summit. India has joined the Mangrove Alliance for Climate Change, a joint initiative of Indonesia and UAE under the Indonesian G20 presidency. Prime Minister Modi also held talks with the French President Macron, the German Chancellor, the Singaporean Prime Minister, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who he met for the first time yesterday, and heads of other nations on the sidelines of the summit before departing Bali. In 2023, India will host the G20 summit. As India took over the baton from Indonesia for the G20 presidency, Prime Minister Modi held his first bilateral with UK's new Prime Minister of Indian origin, Rishi Sunak, along the summit sidelines. This marks the first official meeting between the two ever since Sunak's rise to become the United Kingdom's first Prime Minister of Indian origin. The meeting between the two leaders comes amidst Sunak snubbing Chinese President Xi Jinping for a scheduled meeting and instead meeting Prime Minister Modi, or at least keeping that particular date. Speaking at the summit, Sunak not only hailed India's G20 presidency, but also vowed to commit the long-pending free trade agreement between the two nations. Right after this crucial meeting, Prime Minister Sunak has given a go-ahead for 3,000 visas for young Indian professionals from India to work in the UK each year. The British government said India is the first visa national country to benefit from such a scheme, highlighting the strength of the UK-India migration and mobility partnership agreed upon just last year.
But what I'd also say is I think there's excitement about India taking the baton. I think Prime Minister Modi made an excellent speech at the close of the summit, and there's a lot of positivity about about all the positive things that have come out of this summit being carried on into India's presidency, and people are looking forward to supporting India in that, and we certainly will play our part in the United Kingdom to make sure that we do that. With other leaders here about deepening our trade partnerships, particularly in the Indo-Pacific region, with Australia, with Japan and with Canada, the CPTPP arrangement. I've spoken to all those leaders about our plans to join that free trade area, which are exciting, and I'll be doing that after I leave here as well as the trade deal with India, which we remain committed to, but we need to make sure we get these things right.
I want to go across to India today's Gaurav Sawant, who's been tracking all that's been happening in Bali. Gaurav, Rishi Sunak, cancelling a scheduled meet apparently with President Xi Jinping, keeping with his schedule to meet with Prime Minister Modi. Should we be reading anything into that?
So, we're still to hear officially from either the British government or the Chinese government. All that the Chinese government said so far was they had nothing to say on this. But Shiv, what are facts as we know them? Facts as we know them indicate that Rishi Sunak and Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a meeting, but Rishi Sunak's meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping was cancelled, and the Chinese had no idea about it, or they had nothing to offer on it. That's very clear. And if we were to go back a little in Rishi Sunak's, in the days of Rishi Sunak's campaign to be Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, where of course he was trying to get the Tory vote, he made it very clear that he would take a hard line on China, as most democracies across the world seem to be doing post-2019, given China's expansionist attitude. We've seen this in Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh. Taiwan has seen it, America has seen it, and while efforts are on to dial down tension, perhaps there is a message, a signal that democracies are sending out to China.
Gaurav, stay with me because we've got some, breaking footage that's just come in from Bali at the G20 summit that's going viral everywhere because people don't usually see what we're about to show you, viewer. Take a listen at this dramatic footage coming in from the G20 of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau being schooled sort of almost scolded by Chinese President Xi Jinping. Heated argument between the two world leaders caught on camera by Canadian journalists, where I'm just going to put the sound up in a moment so you can hear it. Xi Jinping basically grumbling and complaining to Trudeau that information about their talks had been leaked to the press. So he's not very happy. The famous Chinese bullying tactics on full display, the kind of thing you never see. Listen in.
Let's create the conditions. Everything we discuss is then leaked to the paper. That's not appropriate. And that's not how the way the conversation was conducted. If there is sincerity on your part,
free and open and frank dialogue, and that is what we will continue to have. We will continue to look to work constructively together, but there will be things we will disagree on, and we will have to continue.
Let's create the conditions first. Everything we discuss is then leaked to the paper. That's not appropriate. And that's not how the way the conversation was conducted. If there is sincerity on your part,
free and open and frank dialogue, and that is what we will continue to have. We will continue to look to work constructively together, but there will be things we will disagree on, and we will have to continue.
Let's create the conditions first.
Now, this is absolutely diplomatic gold. This is diplomatic masala of the kind that would warm the hearts of journalists everywhere, because these are the kinds of conversations that no one gets to hear. This is the kind of thing you see only behind closed doors. You've actually seen President Xi Jinping in many ways embodying what China is all about. Constantly wagging its finger, being aggressive, scolding other countries, showing aggression. Here you've got President Xi Jinping. I don't even know whether he knew that he was being filmed. Basically grumbling and scolding and schooling Justin Trudeau of Canada, saying, our discussion yesterday was meant to be private, but you guys have leaked it to the press. That was not what we had agreed upon. That's the kind of conversation he's had. Listen to it one more time, then I'm going to go to my reporters.
To the paper, that's not appropriate. Everything we discuss is then leaked to the paper. That's not appropriate. And that's not how the way the conversation was conducted. If there is sincerity on your part,
free and open and frank dialogue, and that is what we will continue to have. We will continue to look to work constructively together, but there will be things we will disagree on, and we will have to continue.
Let's create the conditions first.
Want to go across to Gaurav on this. Gaurav, what are you making of this? I mean, this is diplomatic gold. One never gets to see this kind of conversation. Xi Jinping sort of being himself here. What did you think of this?
Shiv, you're absolutely right. Relationship between Canada and China already very grim, already frosty. Right from the Huawei executives, after the Huawei executive was arrested, detained, held, the relationship has been cold. But yesterday, Canada was extremely miffed with the manner in which China was interfering in internal affairs in Canada, the way that China had its police personnel or intelligence personnel on ground, keeping an eye on dissenters and pro-democracy workers. The fact that they're increasing their footprint in Canada. Justin Trudeau wasn't happy about it. There was a conversation, but apparently, according to this conversation, that discussion between China and Canada was meant to be kept confidential. But it's there in papers today. It's there in papers world over. And Xi Jinping is extremely miffed about it, looking at these images and the conversation. So there is a translator, and Xi Jinping is actually, through the translator telling Justin Trudeau that the discussion was meant to be between us. It wasn't meant to be leaked to the press. It wasn't meant to be discussed in the press. That's not how diplomacy happens, or words to that effect. And this shows that this wolf warrior diplomacy that we've been seeing from China, it doesn't just come from the diplomats. Perhaps the orders come right from the top.
So are you saying, Gaurav, that, Xi would have said this by design so that the cameras could have captured them because he's sending out a message as well?
Shiv, that's a very interesting proposition, and perhaps that is the truth, because China's wolf warrior diplomacy, the fact that China, it's like slaughtering the chicken and scaring the monkeys. You dress down Justin Trudeau, and then you hope that it'll carry weight across democracies across the world. Is that what Xi Jinping intends to do, or did in these images? It's a very interesting take of what's happening, but Perhaps it remains to be seen whether the impact will be just the opposite and democracies will come together to stand up against an expansionist China. That still remains to be seen, Shiv.
Very, very interesting. Perhaps as far as Xi Jinping is concerned, the most interesting video, the most masala video, if I can call it that, coming out of the G20. And let's face it, the G20 summit has been chock-a-block with viral images that our Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan has been also bringing us. Geeta, what did you think of this fascinating exchange between Xi Jinping and Justin Trudeau?
Well, well-timed. Also, the fact that the cameras were there. Xi Jinping always quite aware of the cameras, even in international platforms where he knows that things are not under his control. He went ahead and raised the objection of the leaked information to papers with regards to their talks. That certainly says something. But Justin Trudeau responded saying that in Canada we have frank, open discussions, and we hope to have constructive discussions in future as well. Even if we disagree on a few things, which means the way we carry out our news, the way we relay news to our press. It is different in Canada and different in China. But Shiv, if you look at how Xi Jinping has reacted in front of camera, in front of official camera, it has been quite astounding. Look at the visuals of Xi Jinping with President Biden. He almost made a face scowled while the photo op was taking place. Look at his visuals when he knew that the cameras were at play and he met Prime Minister Modi. It was a very cordial one with a lot of smile. Over here, a rather condescending look for Justin Trudeau. So he knows his play and he really doesn't care. While we say that the world and democracies should come together to take on China, at this juncture it just seems like China came here, did what it wanted to, said what it wants to, and has gone back. And Justin Trudeau certainly got a dressing down, but Justin Trudeau also responded to the Chinese president, saying that we in Canada behave differently with our press. It might be different in your country.
Very, very interesting. Two, leaders of giant countries having this kind of tense sort of exchange, completely the opposite of the kind of thing that is usually in front of cameras. Hugely interesting and very, very evocative. Let's just play that out once again. Gaurav and Geeta, continue to stay with me.
Everything we discuss is then leaked to the paper. That's not appropriate. And that's not how the way the conversation was conducted. If there is sincerity on your part,
free and open and frank dialogue, and that is what we will continue to have. We will continue to look to work constructively together, but there will be things we will disagree on, and we will have to.
Let's create the conditions first.
So Xi Jinping and Justin Trudeau, that big viral video emanating just as the G20 summit winds down. We'll keep a track of that story. We'll try and get more reactions to it as well as we continue to cover how the G20 moves forward now. Moving on now, more than 90 Russian-built missiles rocked Ukraine from east to west, causing broad power blackouts in that country. Slamming Russia, the Ukrainian president pointed out that most of those missiles targeted the country's energy infrastructure, calling it one of the biggest attacks on Ukraine. Here's a report.
One barrage of missiles after the other. The biggest sustained missile and rocket attack across Ukraine since the beginning of war in February. More than 90 missiles fired from Russia into Ukraine, north, south, east and west, targeting the country's energy infrastructure. The missile attack started late at night and one volley after the other was fired from. Ukraine called it the biggest and the most targeted attack on its power stations across the country.
Fellow Ukrainians, today enemy has launched another massive missile attack on our country. A total of 90 missiles, energy system, enterprises and residential buildings were damaged. And it happened by the end of the first day of G20 Summit in Bali. All the crucial statements were made on the same day. Russia spoke about peace but fires missiles in response.
There was global panic with a missile having landed 20 kilometers inside Poland, killing 2 villages. Poland is a part of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and the news of missile strike in Poland shook the world. There was an emergency meeting of NATO and G7 partners in Bali for the G20 summit. Russia strongly denied firing any missile inside Poland of anywhere 35 kilometers from the Ukraine-Poland border. Russian Ministry of Defense issued a statement saying pictures revealed the debris indicated it was S-300 missile defense shield that was fired by Ukraine to stop incoming missiles. The US too concluded, based on initial information, that the trajectory was not from Russia.
Too early to say whether this missile was fired from Russia.
There is preliminary information that contests that. I don't want to say that till we completely investigate, but it is. It's unlikely in the minds of the trajectory that it was fired from Russia, but we'll see. We'll see.
The world, however, remains on the edge. Bureau Report, India Today.
Gaurav Sawant is with me. Remember, Gaurav Sawant was one of the first journalists to enter Ukraine and he's been reporting there for the longest time. Gaurav, these missiles that landed in Poland, you know, when the news broke yesterday, there was a huge global scare. Even while the G20 was on, this could have been seen as another big escalation. Now it apparently turns out that Russia did not fire these missiles. What's the truth?
Shiv, you're absolutely right. The moment the first missile landed in Poland, inside Poland, everyone thought this is major escalation, or was it an accidental hit, beyond the borders of Ukraine? And either ways, this would have led to a massive escalation. But Russia stoutly defended itself, saying it hadn't fired any missile 35 kilometers close to the Ukraine border with Poland. And America too, experts seem to indicate that the trajectory of the missile wasn't one that was fired from Russia, a long-range missile that would cross Ukraine and then hit Poland. The trajectories seem to indicate, as do the debris, that this is an S-300 missile defense system that accidentally landed in Poland while countering those 90+ missiles that have been fired from Zhytomyr, fired at Zhytomyr in the north, and Odessa in the south, from Lviv in the west to Kharkiv in the east. More than 90 missiles fired, destroying a very large number of energy centers, power centers across Ukraine, plunging a major part of Ukraine in darkness. And Ukraine now saying that energy or power or electricity is being weaponized by Russia in this biting cold. It's already sub-zero temperatures in Ukraine, could fall to -6 anytime. And in such a scenario, a major part of the country is now without electricity and water, an effort perhaps to bring the country down to its knees. But Poland heaving a sigh of relief that this escalation is not, Russia is not taking on NATO countries, but then it's on the edge of war.
Gaurav, thanks very much for that. Very, very troubling incident. Also a reminder of just how volatile things can actually be with the use of weapons. Remember that the NATO has been pumping in huge quantities of weapons for the last 6 months into Ukraine. But Ukraine also has Russian origin weapons like the S-300. And it is that missile that is understood to have, landed inside Poland at this point of time yesterday, leading to this huge global scare. But a Russian-made weapon fired by Ukraine landing inside Poland, not a Russian attack. You get what I mean. The huge amounts of, the recipe for possible disaster and mistaken identity in this terrible, terrible situation can lead to another global escalation. World War III has been trending since last night as well. So it's a tricky situation there. Thankfully, there hasn't been any further escalation beyond that. We're taking a very quick break. On the other side, Grammy 2023 nominations are out. I'll fill you in on the details when you come back.
Our world is filled with many items made of plastic. We use plastics on an everyday basis. But how can you make plastic? And how can we recycle it? Most plastic can be made from hydrocarbons present in natural gas, oil and coal. They're made up of chains of molecules linked together called polymers. There are two main families of polymers. Thermoplastics, accounting for some 80% of global plastic consumption. They melt when heated and then harden when cooled. They can be recycled. Thermosets are substances that set permanently when heated. In 1950, the industry produced 2 million tons of plastic per year. Plastic can be made into a huge variety of useful products. But here's the rub. Millions of tons of plastic end up in the ocean and landfill sites every year. A plastic beverage bottle takes more than 400 years to degrade. Less than 10% of plastic waste is currently recycled. Why? Because of the chemical complexity of polymers.
The 2023 Grammy Awards are out. Beyonce has managed to dominate with 9 nods. Kendrick Lamar is another artist leading the nominations with 8 major nods. Adele with 7 and Harry Styles with 6. Here's the full list.
Gear up for Grammy Awards 2023 as the nominations are out. Pop superstar Beyonce led the field of musicians nominated, setting up a showdown with Adele, Harry Styles and others for the top prize of Album of the Year.
If you're feeling down, I just wanna make you happier, baby.
Beyonce landed 9 nominations for the highest honors in music. This brings her career total to 88, tying her with husband Jay-Z as the most nominated artist in Grammy history. Her album, Renaissance, will compete for Album of the Year with Adele's 30, Harry's House from Harry Styles, Special from Lizzo, and entries from Bad Bunny and Coldplay, among others.
White lies, take off the weirdo jury. I'ma take 10 steps and I'm taking off top 5. Take off the fabricate streams and the microwave meme. It's a real world outside. Take off the idols.
Rapper Kendrick Lamar also is in the running for Album of the Year for Mr. Morale and The Big Steppers. He received 8 nominations overall, followed by British singer Adele and singer-songwriter Carlyle with 7 each.
I know there is hope in these waters, but I can't breathe.
The nominations set up a rematch between Beyonce and Adele, who won Album of the Year in 2017. Adele at the time had said that the award should have gone to Beyonce's Lemonade. In fact, interestingly, Beyonce has never won Album of the Year.
Back up, they don't love you like I love you. Step down, they don't love you like I love you. Can't you see there's no other man above you? What a wicked way to treat the girl that loves you. Hold up, they don't love you like I love you. Slow down, they don't love you like I love you. Hold up, oh baby, baby, you won't break my soul. You won't break my soul.
Her single, Break My Soul, will compete for Record and Song of the Year. Taylor Swift's 10-minute version of her 2012 song All Too Well also landed a nod for Best Song. Swift's latest album, Midnights, however, was released after this year's eligibility window.
At your sister's house and you still got it. Was it honestly the best?
K-pop boy band BTS made history as they have received 3 nominations at the Grammy Awards for 2023. Their song Yet to Come for the album Proof has been nominated in the Best Music category, and their collab track with Coldplay, My Universe, has received a nod under Best Pop Duo Group Performance category. BTS has now gotten a total of 5 Grammy nominations, making them the first and only Korean group to do so. Not just that, they are also the only Korean artist to be nominated for 3 consecutive years. What's more, BTS is facing backlash online, with some fans suggesting that they have made English songs only to get nominated for the Grammys, since not even a single Korean song has been nominated for the awards. The Best New Artist category contenders include Italian rock band Måneskin, Brazilian singer Anitta, and American singer-songwriter Molly Tuttle. The Grammys will be handed out at a ceremony in Los Angeles on February 5th. Winners will be chosen by the nearly 13,000 musicians, producers, and songwriters who belong to the Recording Academy. Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
Keep watching India Today. 6 p.m. Prime with Akshita comes up next. More sordid details continue to emerge non-stop in the horrific Shraddha Walkar murder case. That's next on 6 p.m. Prime.